Ladies and gentlemen, wealth is not a matter of chance. It is not reserved for the privileged few. Wealth begins in the mind. It is the result of deliberate, disciplined, and persistent thinking. Your thoughts are the seeds, and what you sow, you shall reap. If you train your mind to dwell on poverty, lack, and limitation, you will surely harvest those results. But if you discipline your mind to think wealth, to believe in abundance, and to expect prosperity, the world will rearrange itself to deliver it to you. The starting point is desire, not a faint wish, not a passing hope, but a burning, consuming desire to be wealthy. This desire must be definite. You must know precisely how much you want, why you want it, and when you intend to possess it. The mind, like fertile soil, will grow whatever you plant. Plant indecision, and you will harvest failure. Plant definiteness of purpose, and you will begin the process of attracting the wealth you seek. But desire alone is not enough. You must repeat your belief to yourself daily. Through affirmations spoken with emotion and conviction, you will impress your subconscious mind. You must speak of wealth as though it already belongs to you. See yourself in possession of riches. Feel the weight of gold in your hand. Hear the applause of success in your ears. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality and imagination. It only responds to the dominating thoughts that you feed it consistently. And yet, even belief without action is but an idle dream. Action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. You must move forward in faith, taking steps each day toward your financial goals, even when the path is not clear, even when the road is rough. The universe responds to those who move with determination, who refuse to accept failure, who persist where others quit. It is through persistent, intelligent action that wealth takes physical form. Above all, you must have faith. Faith is the invisible power that binds thought to reality. Faith transforms mere words into creative forces. Faith magnetizes your mind to attract ideas, people, and opportunities that lead to riches. When your mind is saturated with faith, there is no room for doubt. There is no space for fear. Your every thought, your every movement, your every decision becomes a step toward abundance. Ladies and gentlemen, wealth is not a distant dream. It is not the privilege of the fortunate. It is the reward of those who train their minds, who believe without wavering, who persist without end, and who act with relentless purpose. Train your mind, and the treasures of life will be drawn to you as surely as the sun rises. Wealth begins in the mind. Everything that exists in your life today is the result of your past thoughts. The car you drive, the clothes you wear, the house you live in, the money you possess, or the lack of it, all are the visible fruits of the thoughts you have allowed to dominate your mind. The mind is a garden, and it is always producing something. Whether it produces weeds of poverty or flowers of prosperity depends entirely on the seeds you plant and cultivate. It is impossible to think constant thoughts of lack and expect to find riches in your hand. The mind does not discriminate. It simply reflects and creates in the physical world that which you hold as true in your inner world. When you understand this principle, you will realize that you are never a victim of circumstance. You are the creator of your circumstance. You are not the servant of wealth. You are its master. To master wealth, you must first master your thoughts. Most people spend their lives thinking about their limitations. They say, I cannot afford this, or I am not lucky, or people like me never become rich. These thoughts, repeated over time, become beliefs, and those beliefs shape their reality. The mind accepts what is repeatedly impressed upon it, whether those impressions are true or false. If you tell yourself that you are destined to struggle, your mind will accept this as a command and begin to shape your experiences to fulfill that expectation. Every wealthy person first saw riches in their mind long before they touched them with their hands. They believed in the possibility of wealth when there was no visible proof. The fortune they later acquired began as a simple thought, a quiet seed planted in the fertile ground of their imagination. The mind is the workshop where all riches are first manufactured. It is the invisible factory where desire is shaped, where ideas are born, and where plans take form. Before a great building is constructed, it exists first in the architect's mind. Before a business empire is built, it is first seen in the mind of its founder. The visible world is always a shadow of the invisible world of thought. When you allow negative, fearful, and limited thoughts to fill your mind, you are programming yourself for failure. Thoughts of poverty are like rust on the machinery of the mind. They corrode, they weaken, and they eventually destroy the possibility of abundance. But when you fill your mind with thoughts of success, wealth, and limitless potential, you begin to build mental pathways that attract opportunities, people, and circumstances that match those thoughts. The law of life is that like attracts like. A mind that vibrates with thoughts of wealth sends out a signal that draws wealth back to it. It is not enough to wish for wealth. Wishing is weak and without power. True wealth begins with controlled thinking. You must take possession of your mind and direct it toward prosperity with discipline and persistence. You cannot afford to think carelessly. You cannot afford to speak words that contradict the wealth you desire. Every idle thought, every careless word is either moving you toward or away from your goal. To attract wealth, you must think wealth. You must speak as though you already possess the abundance you seek. You must see yourself surrounded by riches, even if your present situation shows none of it. Your present financial condition is not permanent. It is simply the result of your past thinking. If you have thought thoughts of scarcity, you will have lived in scarcity. If you now choose to think thoughts of abundance, and if you persist in this new pattern, you will alter the course of your life. The mind is plastic. It is moldable. It will take the shape you give it. But you must give it that shape with purpose. Most people allow the world to shape their thoughts. They read newspapers filled with fear. They listen to voices that tell them money is hard to come by. They accept the opinions of those who have surrendered to failure. But if you wish to attract wealth, you must become deaf to these voices. You must discipline yourself to think independently. Wealth begins with the imagination. It begins with the ability to see yourself as wealthy, to feel yourself in possession of riches, even when your senses tell you otherwise. The senses are limited. They see only what is, not what can be. The imagination sees beyond what is presently visible. When you hold an image of wealth in your mind and refuse to let it go, you impress this image upon your subconscious, which then begins to move you toward that image through invisible forces that you may not fully understand. Thought is magnetic. It draws its physical equivalent to itself. A person whose mind is saturated with thoughts of wealth will find themselves noticing opportunities that others miss. They will feel guided toward people, ideas, and decisions that seem to lead naturally to prosperity. This is not magic. This is the natural operation of mental laws. You become what you think about. This is a simple truth, but few believe it deeply enough to apply it with persistence. Fearful thoughts repel wealth. Doubt chases away opportunity. When you think constantly about your debts, your failures, and your limitations, you send a signal of resistance to wealth. But when you think consistently about abundance, you become like a magnet, pulling wealth toward you with irresistible force. This is why it is essential to guard your mind as you would guard a vault filled with treasures. You must be vigilant. You must watch every thought and dismiss those that do not serve your purpose. To train your mind to attract wealth, you must engage in daily practice. You must spend time each day visualizing the wealth you desire, feeling the emotions of already having it, and affirming with conviction that it belongs to you. These practices are not childish games. They are tools used by every person who has ever amassed great fortune. The repetition of these thoughts builds new mental patterns. As you persist, your belief grows stronger, your faith deepens, and your results begin to change. You must become obsessed with prosperity, not in a greedy way, but in a focused, deliberate way. Your mind must dwell on wealth with such intensity that you become blind to all contrary evidence. You must see wealth where others see only lack. You must hear opportunity where others hear only obstacles. This mental conditioning will not happen in a day, but through repetition and discipline, your mind will gradually shift. You will begin to think from the standpoint of abundance rather than lack. You will begin to expect success rather than hope for it. And when you expect success, you will begin to act in ways that lead to its inevitable arrival. The mind is the gateway to wealth. It is the first cause of all riches. It is the master key that unlocks the door to abundance. Train it carefully, discipline it ruthlessly, and guard it faithfully, for the treasures you seek are waiting to flow to the one who has mastered the power of thought. Wealth begins in the mind, not in the wallet, not in the job, not in the external world. Every visible success, every fortune built, every empire established was first a thought. A single idea, fueled by belief, has moved men and women from rags to riches. And yet, the average person spends more time worrying about bills than imagining abundance. The mind is not a passive machine. It is an active builder. It constructs your life based on the instructions you give it through repeated thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. If you constantly think, "I'll never be rich," your mind treats that as a command. If you believe wealth is only for others, your mind creates barriers to ensure you never become one of them. The tragedy is that most people are unaware they are thinking themselves into poverty. They speak words like, "Money is the root of evil," "I can't afford it," "Rich people are greedy," and then wonder why money avoids them. The subconscious mind is always listening. It absorbs everything you say with emotion and turns it into experience. It obeys not what you want, but what you expect. If you expect struggle, you attract it. If you expect lack, you will meet it at every turn. You must retrain your thinking to focus not on what is missing, but on what is possible. You must learn to think as wealthy people think, not just about money, but about opportunity, value, contribution, and purpose. Wealth does not begin with financial literacy. It begins with mental clarity. Until you believe you deserve wealth, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. You may work hard, but if your inner blueprint says, "I'm not worthy of success," then no amount of effort will override that belief. This is why two people can be given the same opportunity, and one flourishes while the other fails. It is not luck. It is not fate. It is belief. The one who succeeds has conditioned their mind to expect success. The one who fails has programmed their mind to expect disappointment. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. To change what's in your bank account, you must first change what's in your mindset. This does not mean money falls from the sky when you think positively. It means that when your mind is tuned to the frequency of abundance, you begin to see doors that others miss. You begin to feel a surge of courage to take steps others are afraid to take. Ideas begin to come. Creativity awakens, solutions reveal themselves, and because you are no longer held back by fear or doubt, you act, you move forward, you take risks, you persist. That is what attracts wealth, not just thought, but thought that moves you to bold and decisive action. But you cannot have a mind that thinks in terms of wealth one moment and in terms of fear the next. You cannot affirm abundance in the morning and complain about lack in the afternoon. The mind responds to consistency. It must be trained. Like a muscle, it grows stronger through repetition and discipline. You must flood it daily with thoughts of wealth, success, and achievement. You must remind yourself constantly of what is possible. This is not wishful thinking. This is mental conditioning. The world has conditioned you to expect limitation. You must now condition yourself to expect greatness. Your imagination is one of your most powerful tools. The mind does not know the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is real. That is why you must visualize yourself as already wealthy. Walk as a wealthy person would walk. Speak as a wealthy person would speak. Think as a wealthy person would think. This creates a vibration within you that aligns you with the energy of abundance. And once aligned, ideas begin to come faster. Confidence rises. You carry yourself differently. Others notice. Opportunities are drawn to you. Wealth begins to chase you, not the other way around. Do not underestimate the power of inner dialogue. What you say to yourself silently is shaping your future. If you walk around thinking, "I always mess things up," "nothing ever works for me," or "I'll never catch a break," you are programming your subconscious to make that your reality. But if you instead choose to say, "I am destined for success. Every day, wealth is flowing to me. Opportunities are everywhere," you begin to rewire your mind for prosperity. Over time, those affirmations stop being statements and start becoming truths. Wealthy people are not necessarily smarter. They are not more talented. They have simply trained their minds to think differently. They see possibilities where others see problems. They focus on what they can control, not what they fear. They believe they are the cause of their life, not the effect. This belief alone gives them power. It gives them the courage to try again when they fail, to create when things fall apart, and to rise when others quit. And that belief begins in the mind. No one is born thinking richly. All thinking is learned, which means you can learn it too. You can teach yourself to focus on abundance instead of scarcity, to expect success instead of failure, to move with confidence instead of hesitation. But you must commit. You must be intentional. You must reject every thought that tells you wealth is not for you and replace it with one that says you are worthy, you are capable, and you are ready. The world is not holding you back. Your thoughts are, and when you train your mind to think in terms of wealth, you unlock the power to change your entire financial destiny. It begins with one decision: to think differently, to think abundantly, and to think with the unshakable belief that wealth is not just possible. It is inevitable for the mind that dares to claim it. Wealth begins in the mind, but it does not grow there by chance. It grows through repetition. The human mind is a creature of habit. It believes what it hears most often. It accepts as truth the words that are repeated with conviction. This is the silent law that governs all human experience. You become what you repeatedly tell yourself. If you speak words of limitation over your life, your mind accepts those words as orders. If you say, "I will never have enough," your mind begins to find ways to make that statement true. If you whisper to yourself, "Money is difficult to earn," your subconscious will obediently shape your reality to match that belief. But when you reverse this pattern and begin to speak words of wealth, words of abundance, and words of power, your mind must eventually accept them and reflect them in your life. The process is simple, but requires discipline. You must select the precise thoughts and words you wish to dominate your mind. You must speak them aloud. You must repeat them in silence. You must see them in your imagination. You must saturate your mind with the vision of wealth until it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. When you affirm your belief in wealth, you are not simply making noise. You are planting seeds. These seeds, once planted, will grow if you continue to water them with faith and repetition. Most people are careless with their words. They say, "I'm always broke," and wonder why money never stays. They say, "I'm not good with finances," and they continue to make the same mistakes. They say, "I can't seem to get ahead," and they never do. Their affirmations of poverty become the blueprint of their life. Every statement carries power, and the subconscious mind does not argue with you. It accepts what you consistently repeat. That is why you must never speak carelessly about money, about wealth, or about your ability to succeed. There is no mystery in the process of attracting wealth. The secret is not hidden. The key is repetition. You must speak wealth into your life long before it appears. You must speak as if the riches you desire are already yours. You must declare boldly that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are destined to prosper. These statements, spoken with emotion, carve new grooves into the mind. They establish new mental habits. They create an expectation of success that eventually attracts the physical result. Repetition of belief is not an act to be done once or twice. It is a daily practice. You must speak your affirmations in the morning. You must speak them in the evening. You must speak them when you feel discouraged. You must speak them when you feel strong. You must continue until the words feel natural, until they feel inevitable. In the beginning, your affirmations may feel like lies. You may say, "I am wealthy," and a voice inside may whisper, "No, you're not," but you must persist. The old voice of limitation is simply the echo of your past conditioning. It will grow quieter as you speak words of wealth more often. You must feel what you say. Words spoken without feeling have no power. Words spoken with belief, with passion, with emotion reach deep into the subconscious and leave their mark. When you declare, "Wealth flows to me from all directions," you must feel the excitement of that truth. When you say, "I am a magnet for prosperity," you must feel the certainty that prosperity is rushing toward you even now. Emotion is the fuel that drives belief deep into the mind. It is not enough to recite words. You must believe them as you speak them. Repetition builds belief, and belief builds action. When you repeatedly affirm your wealth, your confidence grows. You begin to see yourself as worthy of success. You begin to move differently. You begin to make decisions that support your vision. You take risks you would not have dared to take before. You persist where you would have once given up. You speak with authority. You carry yourself with the quiet power of someone who knows wealth is already on its way. When you saturate your mind with affirmations of abundance, your entire energy changes. People notice, opportunities begin to appear, circumstances start to shift. This is not coincidence. It is the result of changing the dominant vibration of your mind. The repetition of belief transforms you from the inside out. It shapes the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act. And these new thoughts, feelings, and actions draw wealth into your life with magnetic force. The mind does not forget what is repeated often enough. Even in moments of doubt, your affirmations will rise within you like a silent army, reminding you of your power, reminding you of your destiny. When others complain about lack, you will find yourself thinking about opportunity. When others speak of fear, you will speak of possibility. When others surrender to failure, you will continue to press forward, strengthened by the beliefs you have carefully planted and watered through the daily discipline of repetition. The repetition of belief builds an inner foundation that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. You may lose money, but you will not lose your wealth, consciousness. You may face rejection, but you will not abandon your vision. The power of constant affirmation makes your mind resilient. It builds in you a quiet certainty that wealth is not a matter of chance, but a matter of cause and effect. You will know that your repeated thoughts, your repeated words, and your repeated beliefs are the cause, and that wealth must appear as the effect. There are those who will laugh at the practice of affirmation. They will call it foolish, but they will continue to struggle because they have unknowingly affirmed their poverty all their lives. Every time they say, "I can't," "I won't," "It's impossible," they are practicing negative affirmation. The only difference is that you have chosen to affirm wealth instead of lack, power instead of weakness, success instead of failure. And as you continue this practice day after day, you will see evidence that your mind has become a magnet for the very things you have declared. The wealth you desire is waiting to take form in your life, but it cannot appear until you create the mental environment for it to grow. The daily repetition of belief is the tool that builds that environment. It is the discipline that rewrites your financial destiny. Through this process, you will transform your thoughts, your expectations, and eventually your reality. Faith is the foundation upon which all wealth is built. Without faith, even the most brilliant plans collapse. Without faith, effort dissolves into fear, and ambition fades into hesitation. Faith is the quiet force that sustains you when circumstances scream failure. It is the belief that what you desire is already moving toward you, even when you cannot see the evidence. The mind, when charged with unwavering faith, becomes a magnet for wealth. It attracts opportunities, people, and resources with a precision that no logic can explain. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is not a casual hope. It is a deep, burning certainty that wealth is not only possible, it is promised to the one who dares to believe without doubt. Most people fail not because they lack talent, intelligence, or skill, but because they lack faith. They allow temporary defeats to plant seeds of fear in their minds. They abandon their dreams at the first sign of difficulty. They listen to the voices that say, "It's too hard, it's impossible, it's not for you," and they accept those lies as truth. But the man or woman who holds fast to faith, who persists in believing that wealth is coming, who continues to act as though success is inevitable, gains an invisible power that cannot be measured, but can always be felt. Faith is not passive. Faith requires action. It demands that you move boldly in the direction of your desire, even when your current reality seems to oppose you. Faith commands that you continue to make decisions that support your vision, to continue to invest energy, time, and effort, even when the returns are not yet visible. This is where most people falter. They believe when the evidence is clear, but true wealth is attracted by those who believe before the evidence appears. When you act with faith, you are sending a message to your subconscious mind that you are certain of success. Your mind then begins to work relentlessly to create the conditions necessary to fulfill that belief. Every wealthy person has faced moments of doubt, but their faith in their purpose and their wealth remained stronger than their temporary emotions. They pressed forward not because the path was clear, but because they refused to entertain the thought of failure. This kind of faith is forged through constant repetition, through surrounding yourself with the right influences, through reading, listening, and absorbing messages that reinforce your belief in wealth and abundance. You must protect your faith as you would guard a treasure. You must refuse to allow the opinions of others, the news, or the negativity around you to shake your belief. Faith must be cultivated daily, especially when circumstances tempt you to give up. The subconscious mind is most responsive to belief mixed with emotion. Faith is the strongest form of belief. It sends your thoughts deep into the subconscious, where they begin to shape your habits, your focus, your decisions, and ultimately your results. Without faith, thoughts remain weak, shallow, and powerless. But when faith charges a thought, it gains momentum. It gains life. It begins to draw to you the people, the ideas, and the circumstances that move you toward wealth. Faith is the trigger that turns invisible ideas into visible riches. Many people pray for wealth, but they pray with doubt in their hearts. They speak words of desire, but carry emotions of fear. This division weakens their power. You must align your thoughts, your words, and your feelings toward wealth with complete harmony. You must think of wealth, speak of wealth, and feel the certainty of wealth all at once. When your mind and heart are in unity, faith becomes unstoppable. It pushes you forward when logic tells you to retreat. It whispers, "Keep going," when others tell you to stop. It sustains your vision when your eyes see nothing but obstacles. Faith can only be strengthened through use. It cannot grow by reading alone. It cannot grow by listening alone. Faith grows when you dare to act on it. When you step forward without guarantees, when you invest in your dream without seeing the return yet, when you persist after others have abandoned the race, you are exercising your faith muscle. Each step builds it. Each decision strengthens it. Each risk taken in alignment with your belief increases its power. And as your faith grows, so does your ability to attract wealth. Faith also demands that you control your environment. You cannot build faith while surrounding yourself with those who doubt, who complain, who see only problems. You must deliberately choose to listen to voices that inspire belief, to read words that stir courage, to associate with those who think in terms of success and possibility. Your faith will reflect the environment you build around you. If you immerse yourself in fear, your faith will shrink. If you immerse yourself in boldness, your faith will rise. The great secret is that wealth responds to the man or woman of unshakable faith. This is not the faith that waits passively, but the faith that moves forward, that risks, that acts. The universe seems to bend to those who refuse to doubt. Doors open, paths appear, resources come. This is not magic. It is the natural response to the one who has conditioned the mind to expect wealth and refuses to consider the alternative. Most people are willing to try as long as the signs are favorable. The person of faith is willing to try even when all signs say otherwise. That is why wealth flows to them. Faith gives you power over fear. It silences the voices that say, "You can't." It replaces hesitation with boldness. It fuels the persistence necessary to continue when results are slow. Without faith, you will retreat at the first difficulty. With faith, you will stand firm, knowing that wealth is forming, even if you cannot yet see it. Faith gives you the resilience to endure failure without losing enthusiasm, to face rejection without losing confidence, to walk through uncertainty without losing vision. Faith is the invisible foundation that supports all wealth-building actions. You can have the best strategies, the best connections, the best resources, but if you lack faith, you will not fully pursue them. Fear will hold you back, doubt will paralyze you, but when faith is present, you act with speed, with courage, with relentless focus. You become a magnet for wealth because your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and your actions are all aligned toward abundance. There is no hesitation, no division, no retreat. Wealth does not come to the one who merely hopes. It comes to the one who expects. It comes to the one who believes so deeply that their belief drives action. It comes to the one who dares to claim it before they can see it. The mind, when filled with faith, becomes the most powerful instrument for attracting wealth that exists. Action is the bridge between thought and reality. Without action, wealth remains a dream, a distant vision with no substance. The mind can be trained to attract wealth, but attraction without movement leads nowhere. The most powerful thoughts, the most intense desires, the most persistent affirmations will produce nothing if not accompanied by deliberate, bold, and continuous action. Action is the expression of belief. It is the physical proof that you expect success. It is the force that calls wealth into your life. The person who waits for the perfect time, for absolute certainty, for guarantees before taking action, will wait forever. Wealth is attracted to those who move, who take steps while others hesitate, who begin while others are still preparing. The mind that is trained to attract wealth must also be trained to act quickly and decisively. Success does not favor the slow thinker, the one who endlessly questions, doubts, and analyzes every step. There is wisdom in planning, but excessive delay is the enemy of wealth. Wealth responds to speed, to boldness, to the man or woman who acts while the opportunity is still hot. The habit of immediate action must be developed. You must train yourself to act when your mind presents you with an idea, when your intuition pulls you toward a decision, when the chance to move appears before you. To hesitate is to invite fear, to delay is to strengthen doubt, but to act quickly is to build momentum, to move closer to the wealth that is already seeking you. The person who takes massive action stands out. They gain attention, they create energy, they produce results while others are still thinking. And with each action, their confidence grows, their belief strengthens, their wealth consciousness deepens. Action feeds belief, and belief fuels further action. This is the cycle that builds unstoppable momentum, but it begins with a single step, taken not in the absence of fear, but in spite of it. You cannot wait for fear to leave you. You must act through it. Fear diminishes in the presence of bold movement. Action dissolves the illusions that fear creates. Some believe that if they think long enough, wealth will appear without effort. This is a falsehood. Thought is the blueprint. Action is the builder. Without action, the wealth you desire remains in the realm of imagination. The mind may attract opportunities, but it is action that seizes them. The man who sits passively, waiting for wealth to knock on his door, will remain poor. The man who steps forward, who makes the call, who builds the product, who speaks to the potential customer, who invests his energy without waiting for perfection, will find that doors begin to open. Resources begin to flow. Ideas begin to materialize. Wealth rewards movement. Every great fortune has been built by men and women of action. They did not wait for certainty. They moved while others hesitated. They were willing to make mistakes, to fail, to correct their course, to begin again if necessary. Action does not require perfection. It requires persistence. The person who keeps moving cannot be stopped. Temporary failure does not discourage them. Obstacles do not cause them to quit. They continue to act, to adjust, to press forward. This relentless movement eventually wears down resistance and attracts the wealth they seek. There is no substitute for action. Reading, thinking, dreaming, and planning are valuable, but they must lead to movement. You must step into the market, you must engage with the people, you must build the thing, you must risk rejection. Action is the test of belief. If you truly believe wealth is coming to you, you will act as if it is already on the way. You will not hesitate to build, to sell, to speak, to move. Action must become your habit, not your occasional effort. It must become your first response, not your last option. The mind, when trained properly, will produce ideas that can lead to wealth, but ideas alone have no power. The value of an idea is found in its execution. A simple idea acted upon is worth more than a brilliant idea locked in indecision. Action gives life to ideas. It transforms potential into profit. The habit of taking daily action, even when small, builds an unshakable foundation for wealth. Small steps, consistently taken, produce large results over time. The key is to move every day in the direction of your goal, to push forward when it would be easier to wait. Those who succeed in attracting wealth understand that action is not always comfortable. It often demands that you move before you feel ready, that you speak before you are certain, that you invest before the return is guaranteed. Action requires courage, and courage is built by doing the thing you fear. Every step taken in the face of discomfort strengthens your power. Each decision to act trains your mind to trust you, to expect progress, to seek results. You must become the kind of person who moves consistently, who builds momentum through repeated action, who refuses to sit idle. Action is not something to be delayed until you feel inspired. Action creates inspiration. The very movement toward your goal generates energy, attracts ideas, and sharpens your focus. Waiting for motivation is a trap. You must act first, and the feeling of power will follow. The person who acts consistently gains control over their mind, over their habits, over their results. They become the creator of their wealth, not the passive observer of chance. There is a rhythm to success, and it is set by the speed of your action. When you move quickly, opportunities respond quickly. When you hesitate, opportunities drift toward those who move faster. The one who consistently acts builds a reputation of decisiveness, of reliability, of strength. People are drawn to those who move. Resources find their way to those who create momentum. Wealth flows to the individual who acts with faith, with urgency, and with discipline. The path to wealth is not revealed in full before you begin. It unfolds step by step as you move forward. Action clarifies, action reveals. Action brings into your life what standing still can never produce. You do not need to know the entire journey. You need only to take the next step. As you act, new paths will appear. As you move, the right people will show up. As you push forward, the resources you need will come into view. Wealth is attracted to those who act with conviction. Action is the highest form of belief. It is the ultimate signal to your subconscious mind that you are serious about wealth, that you are committed to success, that you refuse to settle for less. When you train your mind to attract wealth, you must also train your body to move swiftly, to execute, to build. Action turns invisible desire into tangible results. It shapes your character, it builds your discipline, it forges your destiny. There will always be reasons to delay, to wait, to question, but the person who attracts wealth refuses to listen to those reasons. They step forward while others pause. They take the leap while others search for certainty. They continue to act when results are slow. And through this relentless action, they pull wealth into their lives with a force that cannot be denied.